Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Stand up for your country. Got Mark Levin in the bullpen. He's almost ready to come in here, but I have to set him on up. He's got a new book out that's pretty interesting, so we're going to talk to him about that. President Trump, I think it's fair to say, even if you don't like him, he's a decent problem solver. I mean, we got the border. We got stopping some wars that people don't even recognize in Africa, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. You know, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that Donald Trump's come in and solved pretty quickly. Neutralizing Iran and the decision to bomb them. I mean, that quieted them down and was decisive action. But now, two vexing problems remain for the president, and neither one is going to be easy. Number one is Putin, and it's just Putin. It's not Ukraine. It's not EU. It's Putin, one man. And the other is high prices for essentials in America, which is very, very difficult. And the president needs to start a campaign to get those prices down if he wants to control the power level that he has after the midterms. So we're going to take a look at Putin because that's a hot subject this week, and that is the subject of the Talking Points memo right now. Okay, so in the first 4 years of Trump's presidency, 16 to 20, Vladimir Putin was under control because Trump used the same techniques in negotiation that he used to be successful in business. And those techniques are basically saying to whoever you're negotiating with, be my partner. And if you're my partner, we're all going to win. We're all going to prosper. That's the art of the deal. Flattery, all of that. It comes all into it's you and me against the world. And it's worked very well for Trump. And it worked for 4 years with Putin. You'll remember. Putin went to Crimea under Obama. He did not respect Obama. Took it. Boom. And Obama didn't do anything. But then Trump came in and Putin calmed it down. He was still a villain. He was still evil, doing bad things behind the scenes, but nothing that was roiling the world. And then as soon as Trump lost to Biden, then again, no respect on Putin's part for the democratic machine in America. He marches into Ukraine to kill more than 1 million people, if you count up the Russians and the Ukrainians and all of the people who've been wounded and all of that displacement. And then Trump gets back. One of the keystones of Trump's campaign to be reelected was, I'll solve this Ukraine thing on day one. Now, he said it many times. And if I were president, it never would have happened. Putin confirmed that in Alaska. You know, I mean, it's subjective, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, certainly. But I'll solve it on day one. That obviously didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is because Putin has changed. And President Trump did not recognize the change. I believe, and I can back it up, in my new book, Confronting Evil, that Putin is mentally ill. So I went on News Nation last night, and here's what I said. Go. So now there's going to be a reset. You have to do whatever you can, all right, to try to get Putin to stop. And that means a third meeting. It means this. It means that. You've got to placate him to some extent. But the bottom line is you're not dealing with a rational person here. You're dealing with a person who would kill millions of people. So you've got to be very methodical. But the way to get him is Putin doesn't want to die. Now, when I say Putin doesn't want to die, I mean it literally. That's why the mullahs stopped. Because the mullahs knew the next step was to kill them. That's why they stopped in Iran. If Putin feels that his own life is in jeopardy because his people are starving, and you can do that by very, very stringent sanctions, or military action, which I would not do, not over Ukraine, okay? If he feels that it's his neck in the noose, to use a cliche, he'll get pause. Now, if you think that I'm overstating this, I am absolutely not. And again, I'll go back to Confronting Evil. Adolf Hitler got progressively worse as he maintained his power in Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945. he became a total lunatic. He wasn't stable to begin with, and neither was Putin. And you'll see, we chronicle his childhood and everything like that. You'll see it. But most of these violent dictators, they just lose their minds. And that is what has happened to Putin. I have information that says that Putin was ready to use a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine in the early going. Now, I think the information comes at an ultra high level. I can't confirm it, but I'm not surprised by it. I believe firmly that if his back's to the wall, Putin will use nukes. He doesn't care who dies. He doesn't care about his own people either. When you're dealing with that, then, it becomes a totally different negotiation because the person's not rational. Now, I don't know whether Donald Trump can bring the economic pressure to starve the Russian people. I think he can. The EU is backing him. It's China that needs to get on board. And again, I have the best contacts in the world with China. Nobody has better contacts than me. And you know that. I was over there in May, all of that. But I don't know whether they're going to turn on Vlad. Okay? If they do, then Putin will have to deal. If they don't, it's going to be, a slog punch out for Trump. But I don't criticize the president for what he's done. I don't care about the red carpet. I don't care about the flyover. I don't care about the limo. I don't care about any of that. I want the killing to stop. One more point, and this is an important point. I say that Putin's mentally ill, and you're going to write me, go prove it, O'Reilly, right? Because that's my audience. Bill at BillO'Reilly.com if you want to write it right now. Okay, you're Putin. You're coming to Alaska. You get on a plane in Moscow, you fly in. There's a red carpet there. There's a president of the United States actually applauding. There's pomp and circumstance. You're being treated as an equal. You get to ride in his car to the negotiation spot. All of that you get. He did not pause the bombing on the drones 1 minute. He was killing babies and innocent people while he was in Alaska. Who does that? You couldn't pause for the weekend? You couldn't give peace a chance, as John Lennon once sang, for 2 days? No. Is that the action of a rational man? No. And that's the memo. If you are stressed about back taxes and maybe missed the April deadline or your books are a mess, act now. Because the IRS is cracking down and penalties are up to 25% just for not filing. Tax Network USA has helped thousands of Americans lift that burden. And they can help you, whether you are an employee, small business owner, or haven't filed in years. They have seen it all and know exactly how to clean it up. Tax Network USA's expert negotiators have direct access to powerful IRS programs, and they know how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they will help you reduce or eliminate what you owe. Plus, they'll protect you from wage garnishments and bank levies. So please don't wait. 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bill. That's tnusa.com/bill. Let's bring him on in. Mark Levin, you know him. He comes on occasionally on this program. We're pleased to have him. He's got a new book out on power. Very apropos, of course. Hit number 1 on the New York Times list. 9th time for Mr. Levin. Very impressive. Radio guy, 300 stations. He leads into me on our flagship WABC in New York City. And he joins us now from Leesburg, Virginia. How about that? I don't have a red carpet I can give you down there. I would have done that for you, Levin. You know I would have.
You're a good man, Bill, no matter what they say. You're a good guy.
And they say a lot.
and let me say something else. I really couldn't disagree with the thing you said. Putin is a monster. He's a genocidal maniac. He's only getting worse. You make a great point. Even today, he's trying to bomb the hell out of the civilian centers in Ukraine. Um, and let us not forget, in 1994, Soviet Union, well, what was then Russia, signed a deal that Ukraine would turn all their nukes over to Russia, and in exchange, the United States, Britain, and Russia would protect their boundaries. And of course, he violated that. So the key here is, Putin wants all this land, and he also wants those areas where the Ukrainians are really dug in, and they believe they have a very strong line of defense beyond which the Russians have been unable to go. And he wants that too. And of course, the issue for the Ukrainians is, well, look, how are we supposed to keep doing this? We need security here. This guy's untrustworthy. As Bill says, as you say, this guy is really a head case. And as he's written, Bill, and he's written at length, or somebody did for him, it doesn't really matter. He believes it. This is just the first step. He thinks he's more aligned with Stalin than he is with Gorbachev.
Stalin is his idol. When you read when you read my book, you'll see he models his whole thing on Stalin. But I have a very, very tough question for you right now. Yeah. You ready for that?
Barely.
All right. In this world, who's more powerful, Trump or Putin?
I don't think the answer is that tough. I think Trump is more powerful, and I'll tell you why. Right now, Putin's economy is a shambles. When you're relying on North Korean troops who don't know how to fight, and you are to some extent, and you were relying on Iran for your drones, and you're relying on China and India to pump up your economy, you're relying on a lot of outside factors. And you mentioned in your opening, there have been about 250,000 Russians who have died in this war. And on top of that, you have about 900 to 1 million casualties. In addition to that, they're taking more incoming in terms of death and casualties than the Ukrainians are. You look at their equipment. I went back and looked at this. They're losing tanks and personnel carriers at a clip of about 5-1 compared to the Ukrainians. And so, plus Donald Trump has basically opened the spigot. As much as Europe wants to buy our military equipment, he's going to sell it to them. And also this issue of tariffs against India and China to get them to stop buying oil. Trump could pull that trigger. He's talking about
he hasn't done China yet because he's still working on it. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
In this negotiation, because I'm going on the framework of your book. In this negotiation, Putin holds more power than Trump. And the reason is that Putin knows that NATO and the United States will not go to World War III to save Ukraine. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that's the test. I think the test is whether or not they'll go to World War III. Putin is more concerned about holding on to what he has. Then Trump leaves office. Then he figures he'll be able to roll over any Democrat and most Republicans. That's my concern. I don't think he's thinking about World War III with Donald Trump in position. See, he saw what Trump did with Iran, and he knows from his perspective, Trump is a wild card. He's not sure what Trump's going to do. And most people aren't. But Trump is not the isolationist, as some of the fake MAGAs say he is. He's not an appeaser. He's not a pacifist. He's a realist in many respects. So I also think that he saw what Trump was capable of about 3 or 4 weeks ago when Trump lost his patience with him and started to choke India and was planning on choking China, and again, was willing to flow arms into Ukraine through Europe purchasing them. And I think that helped bring him to the table, because my concern is that after Trump leaves, he's going to say, all right, let me deal with Trump. Let me see what I can get under Trump. I'll take what I can get, and then we'll wait out. See, they're long term.
Yeah, we'll violate everything when the next president comes in. But why hasn't President Trump sanctioned the banks yet? So he could have done it. He could have basically said, look, no banking corporation in the world who does business with Moscow in any way can do business with America or the EU. that breaks the banks. They can't do business with Putin. It starves Putin. Why hasn't he done it yet?
Maybe he will. I mean,
Oh,
he's
he
only in there
might. But
hold on
I'm
now.
done now.
He's
Come
only in
on.
there 7 months. He's in there 7 months, and he's been doing a hell of a lot, and in a lot of parts of the globe. So he may well do that. But maybe he doesn't want to open up yet other fronts of economic battle yet until he's done everything he can. I don't speak for them. They don't sit down and explain it to me. I'm just giving you my judgment. That's still on the table, and even more than that, choking off their ability to bring any revenue in through their oil sales. That's the killer.
Yeah,
And you're
but that's
talking about
China.
that second level of sanctions, which would be the bank. If he wanted to destroy Russia, he can destroy Russia economically the way Reagan destroyed the Soviet Union. He can. And that's why, to answer your initial question on power, Trump has the cards. Number one, Ukraine is not our country. They're an ally. Number two, they're a victim. Number three, they've done enormous damage to Russia. Russia's done enormous damage to Ukraine. The Ukraine has done more damage to Russia than anybody thought was even possible. In fact, every country that looks at Russia now sees that they're not the conventional military threat that they once were. They're a nuclear threat. There's no question about that.
Yeah, that's
but
the problem.
They're not the same conventional military threat that
No,
they were before.
That's
so
obvious.
I think Putin's play is to work through Trump as best you can and then wait for the next president to make further moves.
Okay. And that's why I think there will be a deal, but China is the key to it because China could speed it up. Now, let's segue into Hamas and Israel. A couple of questions because I follow your commentary on this, and you've had some feuds with people that you believe are anti-Semitic and are shaping their foreign policy against Israel because they simply don't like Jews. I want a little more clarification on this. So in college campuses, the progressive left, which has always despised Israel since 1949 and Harry Truman, the progressive left has always despised it, thinks it's a fascist state, thinks it stole the land from the Arabs. You know the whole history better than anyone. Okay. If a person buys into that, a younger person, say at Harvard or wherever, do they automatically hate Jews?
No, and I've never said that. I think when you platform Holocaust deniers and you platform people who are sympathetic to Hitler and are trashing Churchill, in other words, frauds, or when you platform people who are, in fact, out of the closet anti-Semites, that makes you an anti-Semite too. If you're marching in the streets against the war, that doesn't make you an anti-Semite. Makes you a buffoon because the terrorists are the same people who hit us on 9/11. And we'll have a different type of debate about that. But when you have comics and others who come on and flat out spew the KKK lines, the neo-Nazis lines, or when you have people talking about the river to the sea, when you're marching on that, you're talking about the extermination of the Jews. Yeah, you are what you are. And many of them are proud of it.
So there's no doubt about it. It's just it's a tough line sometimes to delineate. But here's the power quotient there. So you've got Israel, and I open up confronting evil with the October 6th attack to demonstrate to the reader, you want to know what evil is, here's what evil is. And we have unbelievable description of what happened on that day. And that's how I kick off the book. But now you have a power Israel, very capable of defending its own people, has to be, against a movement, Hamas, has no rules. There's not one rule. They'll kill babies, they'll hide behind women, they'll blow up hospitals, they'll steal food for people who are dying. We all know that. So that, again, makes it very difficult for an Israel to negotiate anything with people who got no rules, no compunctions. Word means nothing, correct?
That's 100%, which is why this whole thing is rather bizarre. I think, and to have Qatar, which is a terrorist regime, and Qatar, which funded Hamas and protected its leaders, and they're billionaires, those who are still alive. Qatar is a very dangerous country, as far as I'm concerned, in the United States. It's got its money everywhere, and in both parties, and in the executive branch, and in Congress, and everywhere else. And both, as I say, it doesn't even matter who's in charge of what. It's a very dangerous situation. And so, as an example, you have Qatar and Egypt, which is on the border with Gaza, which has a real wall and will not allow any of those people out. I mean, even Netanyahu says, well, why don't you take them, Egypt? You keep negotiating, you're mediating, and you've got the whole Sinai Peninsula that we gave back. And Egypt wants none of them, not one of them. So they've closed the gate. They have the wall. They won't let them out. Qatar keeps supporting Hamas. It used to do it openly. Now it does it behind the scenes. And those are the mediators. Those are the people negotiating. And so it's a very strange thing. You know, Bill, what I see here is more of this Marxist model, this oppressor oppressed. And the media in Europe, in our country, and even some in Israel have turned Israel into the oppressor. Why? Because Israel can actually defend itself now. Israel needs the equipment. It's a tiny country, 9 million people. It doesn't have massive industry, but it's got massive technological know-how. And it's got warriors who are willing to fight because they know the alternative is death. And so all their people, they fight. They come out of the cafes. They have to go wherever they go. But you're right. The idea that you negotiate with terrorists as if they're
it's
terrorists.
Crazy.
They're called terrorists for a reason because they don't believe in rules.
But
you
have to. And to Trump's credit, he has neutralized Qatar a bit. And it's the way he operates. I don't know what his personal feelings are about it. I don't know if he has any. He's neutralized them a bit. Last question for you.
Yes,
is there a television network, news operation in America that gives Israel a fair play?
Well, I think you do. I think there are certain podcasters who do. I think Fox does. I think Newsmax does. I think the rest of them, not that I watch them that much, but like on these Sunday shows, they're absolutely horrific. New York Times, Washington Post, they have a whole history of being horrific about this, and they are. They take the Hamas numbers and they regurgitate them. They bring in the most repulsive politicians, whether it's Bernie Sanders or people like that, who come on, and he's an out of the closet Marxist. And you know, he went to a kibbutz in Israel as a young man that was known as a Stalinist kibbutz. This guy's, and they bring him on like he's just your average politician. They bring on people like that who will speak what they know, who will say what they know. So I would say very few. In Europe, it's gotten horrific too. So there's very few. It's really
even England and Ireland.
Voices.
Even in England and Ireland. Even in England and Ireland,
yes.
Israel cannot get a fair shake.
No.
Can't.
But I have to say, you know, we're friends, but they're friends I disagree with. You're very honorable. You play right down the middle, and playing it down the middle means sometimes you got to take a side. The middle is what's the truth, what's the morality, what's virtue, what's the belief system. And as you point out, it's terrorists versus a democratic civilization. And so when you play it down the middle, it doesn't mean 6 terrorists versus 6 Israelis. You play it down the middle. The middle is, okay, who's the aggressor? Who's acting out of good faith? Who is conducting themselves in a highly immoral way, and so forth and so on. So when you play that down the middle, it shouldn't be that hard to know who's right and who's wrong. And that doesn't mean you agree with everything. But it means ultimately there's a good guy and a bad guy.
Well, you're astute enough to understand, because you're a historian like I am, that there are facts in this world. And usually when you gather the facts, the truth becomes known. So on a Putin, you know, you'll remember in the beginning of the Ukraine war, you had high-profile people in the United States sympathizing with Putin. It was like you had him. You had Joseph Kennedy and Lindbergh sympathizing with Hitler. You had it. It was there. Mm-hmm. Okay? But I tore them to pieces on the facts. And last week, I just annihilated Ambassador John Bolton. I annihilated the man. because he hates Trump so much that whatever Trump does, he's going to oppose for personal reasons. Mm-hmm. And thereby he helps Putin. Okay? He helps Russia by doing it. That's called gathering the facts. And then the truth then exposes itself. And I think that's why you and I have been successful all these years. The book is on power, #1 New York Times bestseller, which makes them deliriously happy. They love to put Mark Levin and Bill O'Reilly's name at the top of the bestseller list. You know, I think they have parties, Levin, when you and I hit #1. I think they go out, have a bunch of drinks, and, hey, those guys have done it again, you know?
Well, let me say one thing on your behalf. You sent me an early copy of your book. Obviously, I've been busy with mine. I broke the back of it starting last night. It's another killer book. It's just a fantastic book for the reasons you say. You bring the facts to the table, and then you reason through the facts. I ask people to do the same thing. Just reason through these things.
Right. Stop with the agenda-driven garbage when you have to just struggle to make your position even coherent. You know you're not on the right side. All right, Mark, it's always a pleasure. Hope we can do it again soon. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're the busiest guy in the country.
Well, you'll be coming on my show. God bless you, brother. You take care of yourself.
And it won't be boring. When you and I get together, it's never boring. Okay, we'll see you later. America is more dangerous than ever. With violent crime on the rise, while you could rely on a firearm, using deadly force today can land you in court, costing you years and your life savings. Trying to prove you acted in self-defense. FBI data shows 99.9% of all altercations do not require lethal force. That's why smart Americans are turning to Byrna. Proudly made in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Byrna's less lethal self-defense launchers are trusted by law enforcement, private security, more than 600,000 citizens. Byrna launchers fire kinetic rounds and powerful tear gas or pepper projectiles, able to stop a threat up to 60 feet away. No background checks, no waiting periods, delivered right to your door. Take control, be ready. Visit Byrna.com today. That's BYRNA.com, or head to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. The American dream is changing. Forget the white picket fence. Today it's about getting out of debt. If rising prices and credit card bills are weighing you down, there is hope. Done with debt. They don't offer loans or push bankruptcy. Their expert negotiators go straight to your creditors, cutting what you owe, wiping out interest, eliminating penalties. They fight until your debt is gone. Most clients see more money in their pocket the first month. You've worked too hard to let debt win. With Done With Debt, freedom is possible. Please visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their experts, completely free. But some of their solutions are time sensitive, so don't wait. Please go to donewithdebt.com. Again, donewithdebt.com. All right, here's a final thought of the day. Everybody's talking about foreign affairs. It's very unusual. Mostly Americans look inward. Now, our foreign affairs partner is Global Post, okay? globalpost.com. They're giving all O'Reilly listeners on the radio, viewers on television, whatever you may be, 50% off their annual subscription. And it's not that expensive. So if you want foreign news, and Global Post is honest, they're not going to give you any BS. Okay, I get it every day. globalpost.com/subscribe. We got this deal for you. You want foreign news? And some of those articles are fascinating. I never even heard of some of this stuff. You know, I like the foreign situation. Okay. We will be back tomorrow, ripping and roaring. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.